if the company that made sex dolls that approached Quentin for a sponsorship, if they approached us and asked us to review a sex doll, I'd probably do that.
Yeah, it'd be funny.
Okay. I guess you could be the tester on that one there, Steve.
If a sex doll company wanted to sponsor us, I would have them make a model of me.
Then you could literally fuck yourself. then if some guy in the street's like, "Hey, go fuck yourself," you'd be like, "Okay," and then you go home and do.
Well, no, and then I would put it on stage when we play.
Oh,
With the open mouth.
that's not as exciting.
Yeah.
Just gotta smile like a donut there, Dave.
Yep. Wasn't there a season of It's Always Sunny where Dennis left for a little while, so they had a sex doll of him?
That sounds like something they would do.
It's one of those shows that I only get so far, and then all of a sudden I gotta stop.
I feel bad if I watch too many episodes in a row.
That's kind of how I felt when I watched it. I haven't even gotten through all of them, but it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how, like, they're not so bad in the beginning. You know, they're just kind of dude bros in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then as it goes along, they become more, like, repugnant and
Yeah.
kind of gross. And you're
Like-
not really rooting for them anymore.
Yeah. Like you get to the point where there's like the toe knife and Dennis has his tools in the back of his car, and yeah. Like they don't start off as good people, but they start off as kind of relatable bad people, and then it just gets worse. They become the worst people ever. Like to the point where you almost want to root for the McPoyles against them, even though the McPoyles are disgusting. I feel bad for Cricket the most out of all the characters, because they ruined his life. He went from like a priest to a PCP addict.
You know what? The funniest thing is, Charlie Day's character, like the chick that he's like obsessed with.
The waitress?
Yeah, she's actually his wife, but like she always says how terrible she thinks he is, like,
Yeah.
and how disgusted she is by him.
The funny thing is, I think I heard an interview with him somewhere where he said how they met was a guy was being creepy to her at a bar, and so he approached her and pretended they were already dating so the guy would go away. So it's basically based off of how they met, just with him as a different person.
And the creepy guy that won't go away.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't. I remember in the beginning, didn't she have a crush on
On Dennis.
Dennis?
Yeah.
Dennis, the sociopath? Isn't that the theory?
Yeah.
Or is he a psychopath?
I think he's a sociopath. I think he has BPD.
Okay.
I think the moment when I realized how far they'd taken Dennis, though, is the one where they go to therapy, and Dennis is talking about making luggage out of human skin. He's like, luggage out of human skin? He's like, you haven't thought of the smell, you dumb bitch! All right.
We're an Always Sunny podcast now.
Yeah. Side 1, Side B. I'm Dave.
And I'm Steve.
And I'm eating. I'm Sean.
You're eating Sean?
I'm eating Sean.
And you're taking on his voice.
Yeah, he's delicious.
Like that movie Bring Her Back, where the zombie demon guy gets fed like locks of hairs from dead people and can then impersonate them. That movie kicks ass.
I've
Go
never
see it
seen
if you
that one.
It's brand new.
Oh, okay.
So slight spoilers, I guess, although that doesn't give away that much.
It's in the trailer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I was just joking.
Yeah, but it's by the guys who made Talk to Me, and it's really good.
Oh,
People
okay.
get fucked up real bad in it. It's a good
I'll have
horror
to check
movie.
that out.
But
Oh,
yeah-
wait. We're here to talk about records.
Yeah, we're here to talk about records. So, I'm gonna ask Sean because we did an episode about this band last season, and so Steve knows a little more about them than Sean does. Sean, what do you know about the band PERE UBU?
I know nothing, actually. I've never heard anything by PERE UBU.
PERE UBU?
PERE UBU.
Yep. Well,
Are they American?
They are American. They're from Cleveland originally. Their lead singer died earlier this year.
Oh.
His name was David Thomas.
This band makes me thirsty for some frosty chocolate milkshakes.
Yes. Frosty. Yeah.
That's two references there for me.
Yeah. But yeah, they were like a post-punk like art rock band from Cleveland, Ohio. They started in like 1975.
Oh, wow.
After their old band Rocket from the Tombs, which Rocket from the Crypt named themselves after. But their old band Rocket from the Tombs disbanded. There were 5 members of Rocket from the Tombs, and 2 of them went on to form the Dead Boys, which was Cheetah Chrome and Johnny Blitz, the drummer.
Oh, okay.
And 2 went on to form PERE UBU, which was David Thomas, a.k.a. Crocus Behemoth, which is what his stage name was at this point, and Peter Laffner. They PERE UBU recruited their sound guy, Tim Wright, to play bass for them. Well, they asked him if he wanted to play bass or guitar, and he wasn't sure, so he bought a bass 6.
Okay.
So he still wasn't sure. He just,
Yeah.
well, you know what? Let's compromise.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
And then they recruited a bunch of other musicians they knew. Tom Herman was their other guitar player, alongside Peter Laffner. And then they recruited Scott Cross, who was their drummer. And the original idea behind the band that, and then they got their building supervisor, who was their landlord's son, who let them get away with everything because he wanted to sit around smoking weed and playing synthesizer in the band as well, as their synth player. And David Thomas initially didn't like his voice, and none of the other members of Rocket from the Tombs liked it either, except for Peter Laffner. And after Rocket from the Tombs broke up, David talked to Peter and said, I want to start a band where we record the handful of songs that the Dead Boys aren't taking. Well, the Dead Boys were called Frankenstein at that point, but that Frankenstein aren't taking. And there were 2 for sure that they knew they could have, which were 30 Seconds Over Tokyo and Final Solution. And yeah, they had a song called Final Solution. They came to regret that. But yeah. And Peter Laffner said yes, but only if you sing. And so, well, Thomas had he sang for the early days of Rocket from the Tombs, but by the end, because only one other member of the band liked his voice and it wasn't him, he'd moved to saxophone and organ.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember you telling me in the last episode that they essentially bullied David Thomas into being the vocalist.
Yeah. And
Wow.
so he sang, and so he ended up singing on it. But when they went to record those 2 songs, Tim Wright, their bass player, was fucking around with the bass 6 and started writing a new song. And so they released 30 Seconds Over Tokyo with the B-side Heart of Darkness. And then they went back and recorded Final Solution later as a second single and wrote a new song for that. And by then they started writing new stuff and playing another Rocket song that Frankenstein / the Dead Boys didn't want, called Life Stinks, which ended up on their first album, so Steve's heard it. And they started a full band.
I was going to ask, is this their first album? Because I saw the titles that you're saying on the...
This is not their first album. Their first album was called Modern Dance. This is a compilation that they put out when they were officially broken up in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
They broke up. What year did Song of the Bailing Man come out? Well, the last album they did was called that they thought was going to be their last album forever. It came out in 82, 83, called Song of the Bailing Man, and then they broke up until 1988. And so this came out in between Song of the Bailing Man and when they officially got back together. And it's a compilation of all their non-album tracks. So it's their first 2 singles, a song that they recorded for a comp that got rejected, the B-sides to the 2 singles off of Modern Dance, and then a couple more B-sides for their 3rd album, New Picnic Time, and then a couple of non-album singles when they had a slight lineup change right before they broke up. And so this is
all the songs that were not good enough to make it on the album propers. You disagree.
I disagree.
I can see.
I think their first 2 singles, the 4 songs that are on those are 3 of the best songs they ever made as a band. And the 4th one is still pretty good. It's just
not as good as the other ones.
It's just not as good as the other ones. The B-sides to the Modern Dance songs are really good, like as good as anything on that album, and that album is one of their best albums. It's the one I go back to the most. I think their best album as a whole is probably their 2nd one, Dub Housing. But yeah, these are really strong songs. One of the B-sides is a really good live track. And then one of the B-sides from the New Picnic Time. The other is a tape experiment, so that one's Take It or Leave It. And then the last 2 songs from right before they broke up, Not Happy and Lonesome Cowboy Dave, are pretty good. They're not especially great, and I think the 2 albums around the time when they had that slight lineup change are better than the single, but the singles, the singles are fine. So I think that all of side A and the beginning of side B are all really strong, and then it kind of peters out a little bit.
That's your new nickname, Lonesome Cowboy Dave.
Lonesome Cowboy Dave.
New stage name.
Yeah. But yeah, one of the things that I think that is really cool about this collection is you can really hear them evolve as a band. Like their early stuff is kind of brooding and dark and menacing, and Dave Thomas is doing more normal vocals that like within his limited range, but like more normal vocals. And then as he keeps going, he gets more confident and figures out what to do with his voice. He gets real weird with it by the end.
Okay.
And then Peter Laffner is only on the first 4 tracks because he died of liver failure at age 24.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, he was trying to live like Lou Reed, his own words. But Lou Reed did a lot of substances, but he exaggerated it because it was part of like his whole persona. Peter Laffner just imitated what he thought Lou Reed was doing
and died
basically. He'd left the band shortly before he died, but he was also like impossible to get along with by the point when he was that fucked up.
Well, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I have to think that, like, if Sid Vicious hadn't killed himself, he'd probably have been at that point.
Yeah.
Because he was, what, like 21, 22 when he killed himself?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure he would probably be like that, because he was always fucked up.
Yeah. Peter Laffner is a better musician than Sid Vicious, though. He's like a really talented, like, guitar player and singer-songwriter. I think he just learned how to play his instrument before he started doing every drug he could get his hands on. Well, Sid Vicious didn't even get that far. He just started doing drugs and then tried to figure out the bass. I recently did listen to some live Sex Pistols bootlegs from like 1978 when they were playing like their disastrous U.S. tour that led to them breaking up. And there was a technical error on one of the discs, and that the sound guy hadn't completely turned off Sid's amp. And so there's just like random bass notes doing nothing.
I remember seeing a couple of like live performances where they're playing and like the guitar is turned down really low and the bass is up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually doing okay. But then like when he starts like jumping around, all of a sudden it's like nothing.
Yeah.
He's like just not hitting. He's not even trying to play while he's like jumping around.
He was also, I think one of the things that Sid, especially later on, was really trying to do was trying to upstage Johnny to usurp his place in the band.
Yeah.
Which he actually did, because after Johnny quit, Malcolm tried to keep the band going for a little while.
Well, that's sort of the that one album, the
Great Rock and Roll Swindle.
Yeah.
I want to get a time machine and then go and grab Sid Vicious at that point, and then go and grab Sid Barrett when he's like on the height of his LSD, and he's like just Dean tuning his guitar on stage. But I need you guys to help fill out the lineup.
Peter Laffner on lead guitar. We need a drummer who's that fucked up is the thing.
Keith Moon.
I was gonna say.
Oh yeah, Keith Moon.
I was gonna say Keith Moon, but no, yeah.
Keith Moon knew how to play that fucked up. It was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Well, one of them's the anchor.
Yeah.
yeah. You need
guess-
you need someone that can pull it off.
Yeah. I guess all of them, but Sid Vicious knew how to play fucked up. But
And then I guess we can get Dave Mustaine on 5 different drugs just for vocals. There we go.
what do you mean? What do you mean?
I love California.
But yeah, so this album that we're doing is called Terminal Tower, an archival collection. This was like when I was first getting into the band. This was one of the first albums that I got by them because I wanted to fill in like some of the gaps, and I wanted to hear the early singles because I heard they're pretty different from like the first handful of albums. I wanted to hear like how different they sounded, and like in the huge, like proto-punk nerd circles, Peter Laffner is kind of a legendary figure to the point where like in the aughts when people were like, when the music nerds really started getting into him and people kept asking David Thomas about them, David Thomas clearly got sick of answering the questions. It was like, listen, he was talented, but he was kind of a bad person.
Yeah. I could imagine.
Yeah. Like one of the very last he also was an aspiring like Lester Bangs style music journalist, Laffner was, and like one of the last things that he wrote was when he panned Coney Island Baby by Lou Reed because it wasn't what he thought it was, and he thought Lou Reed had betrayed him, and he writes about how he got in a fist fight with his wife and got fired from his band. It's like, yeah.
Well, that album by Lou Reed was kind of a weird one.
It's not good, but it's not worth that kind of a breakdown.
I know. Yeah. Well, what Coney Island Baby was coming off of like Berlin, so yeah, I could imagine if you loved Berlin, going to Coney Island Baby, you'd probably be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah. But Sean is going to look at the cover here.
So the cover looks like it's like a bunch of it looks like a kind of like a painting with like people walking away from like in a almost like a busy city kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's from like the 40s a little bit. And then it's got PERE UBU written really big on with like pink tracing behind it. And then Terminal Tower really small underneath. And then the back looks like it's like all the information. It's like a blue with all the information.
It's an info dump.
Yeah, it's an info dump about all the recording, how it was recorded and stuff like that.
Which are some of my sources for all these stories that I'm telling. My other sources are, there's a book called by a British music critic named Clinton Heinlein called From the Velvets to the Voidoids, and it talks a lot about PERE UBU in it because that's one of the author's favorite bands, and I agree with him. Like, to me, I like that book a little more than Please Kill Me because of how much it talks about like PERE UBU and Devo and stuff like that. And then the other source is like their old website, Ubu Projects, which David Thomas just talks a lot about the band and their history on that. So it is like his side of the story a lot of the time, and he was famously a curmudgeon, but you get a lot of good stuff in there. And even though like there are a lot of members left the band, like one of the things he said late in life that I read in his eulogy was, "Hey, of the 21 people who are still alive that have left the band, I could get 20 of them to play on an album with me again."
That's not bad.
Yeah.
And then the inside just kind of looks like random pictures.
Yeah. Those are those are the
Are they the singles covers?
those are the different albums that all came out. Like to them, this was like a career retrospective type thing. It's it's all non-album songs, but it's kind of giving an overview because they thought they were broken up forever at this point. And then the inside jacket right here, on one side we have the lyrics. On the other side we have just a smaller, more organized version of the same pictures.
Oh yeah.
And just a track listing for all the songs. So, like, at this point, you know, like, when they were putting this stuff out, they had kind of become influential. And, like, Mission of Burma famously covered Heart of Darkness. Peter Murphy from Bauhaus on his solo career covered Final Solution. So, like, people were getting into their stuff and listening to them. There's a lot of, like, the no wave and art punk stuff. Like, bands like Mission of Burma, Sonic Youth, the Pixies, all cited them as an influence. When they got back together in '88 and started putting out music again, they eventually toured with the Pixies in, like, the early '90s, and that's how Frank Black met Eric Drew Felden, because by that point Eric Drew Felden had replaced the synth player Alan Ravenstein in the band because Alan Ravenstein quit to become an airline pilot.
Oh, and then Eric Drew Feldman played on the fourth Pixies album.
Yep, and then Frank Black's early solo stuff, like,
Yeah.
and then Tony Maimone, their bass player by side 2 of this, who was with them pretty much their whole run after he joined for, like, the early modern dance singles. Like, he left in, like, the early '90s to play with They Might Be Giants. So it's like they became, like, a big influential band, and then all the bands they influenced started poaching members from them. As you do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If it's better to poach from your heroes, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, so on this first side, we have their first single, and they have the B-side first. Maybe it was because of the Mission of Burma cover, maybe because they thought it flowed better, which is Heart of Darkness, and then we have 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, and then we have Final Solution and Cloud 149, which was their second single. Then closing out this side, we have Untitled, which is a song they submitted for a compilation that got rejected.
Oh, they didn't even bother titling it.
It has a title. Like, Steve might recognize it once it gets to it. It became the title track for their first album, Modern Dance. This is an early version of it, and they re-recorded it with their new lineup when that solidified. The lineup in this is David Thomas on vocals, Peter Laffner on guitar, Tom Herman on guitar and bass, Tim Wright on guitar and bass, Alan Ravenstein on synth, Scott Krause on drums. And that's for the first 2 songs, Heart of Darkness and 30 Seconds Over Tokyo. For Final Solution and Cloud 149, Ravenstein temporarily left the band because he didn't want to play live and was replaced by Dave Taylor, who worked at a record store with Scott Krause. And then for Untitled, Laffner had left the band and died shortly there after they recorded it. So Laffner's just not on that at all. And they have Alan Greenblatt on guitar, who was, like, a local blues player who agreed to play with them and then didn't want to stay in the band afterwards. And Ravenstein came back on synths at that point. And they say Dave Taylor stepped aside, but I don't know if he actually did or if they just shit-canned him. And that is the first side right there. Yeah, any more thoughts before we get started?
Now remember, if you don't listen to our season 1 version of PERE UBU, then the continuity is not going to make any sense to you. So
Yeah.
Yeah, go listen to that. I listened to it too.
Yes, that is why you knew everything about the band, and I was just flapping my gums for no reason.
Yes. It's all true.
Yes. But yeah, we'll get this started. All right, and welcome back. And that was the first side of Terminal Tower, an archival collection by PERE UBU. Fellas, what'd you think?
What the fuck you got me listening to? No, it's good. It's fine. No, it's pretty good. It's interesting. Very different.
I'm really enjoying it so far. I really like the modern dance, but so far the darkness of the songs on this side seem to be grabbing me more than anything that was on that album. So I'm really enjoying this album's vibe so far. Like, it's got so many different elements of everything. I mean, it even sounds like stoner rock or desert rock at certain points. There's a lot of, like, jazzy parts. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the avant-garde abstract nature of this, and like Dave, I've noticed, or I noticed several times, like the synth was going, and for some reason I was just imagining you playing it.
Yeah, like Alan Ravenstein, well, and Dave Taylor for the 2 songs he's on. Like, but yeah, this band is like the biggest influence of synth playing that I have. Like, if I were to list my top 3 synth players, Alan Ravenstein would be number 1 ahead of Brian Eno.
Were you aware of this band when you started Gong Farmer?
Yes.
Okay.
This was like this band is basically what inspired me to start Gong Farmer. 1, I loved the synth and what it was doing, and 2, it was like, well, if David Thomas can sing, I can too.
When I remember the vibe of the early days, and I could tell this is kind of what at least you probably wanted it to sound like. I'm sure Dinger had his own ideas, but
Dinger had his own thing. But yeah, like for me, this is what I was going for, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I definitely can hear like how this influenced you. But it is kind of creepy, and then like also the time like when it's like dragging things out, I can kind of hear like how Bauhaus was influenced by this.
Yeah.
Because you said this was like a lot of this stuff that we're listening to is from like 75.
Yeah. So
which
yeah,
is crazy.
Yeah, the first 2 songs, the 30 Seconds Over Tokyo and Heart of Darkness, that I know it's the other order on the record, but 30 Seconds Over Tokyo is the A side, Heart of Darkness was the B side.
And I'm glad they went in that direction, because honestly, this flowed really well as a side.
Yeah. Like, I think 30 Seconds Over Tokyo is a slightly better song than Heart of Darkness, but I think that made it flow better as a side as a result, going from a really strong opener and then just like kicking it up a notch.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, that came out in December of 75, and like 30 Seconds Over Tokyo was a Rockets from the Tombs song, so they were playing it at live shows like in 74 and earlier in 75 with a different band, so like that was a thing they were just out doing. And then the next 2, Final Solution and Cloud 149, came out in March of 76. So this is like, honestly, this is more proto-punk than post-punk, which their first album Modern Dance came out in 78, so by then they're put into post-punk, but they were doing this before punk was really established.
I was gonna say that's before punk.
Yeah,
because punk was Ramones was like 75, and then
before punk, BP.
Yeah, so proto punk.
Yeah,
like PP, Stooges.
Yeah, the Ramones like started like 75. Their first album came out in 77. The Sex Pistols and the Damned were like, I think, started in England in like 76, and the Damned got a single out in 76 and beat the Sex Pistols to it. I think the Anarchy in the UK single came out in 76, and then everything else the Sex Pistols did came out in 77.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, this was they were basically playing post-punk before punk had even really
taken off. Yeah, because I only found a few parts that kind of sounded punky in a way, but the rest of it did sound very post-punk.
Yeah.
They probably would have, if they would have came out like 6 years later, they probably would have been like a hit.
Oh yeah, and that's why, like in the 80s after they'd broken up, like they were getting covered a lot by like alternative and post-punk bands, and everyone was citing them as an influence, which is why they put out this record, was because it's like, oh hey, people want to hear the old singles and not just the records. Let's just do something to make it complete.
Well, they should have been on 4AD. This is probably what it happened.
They probably should have been, yeah.
Yeah. Because that was the big indie rock label that did like Bauhaus and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they probably would have fit really, they would have fit on that label really well.
Yeah. And a lot of the songs off of Modern Dance that were a part of their live set at this time do sound pretty punky. Like Street Waves and Life Stinks were like their higher energy numbers that were like a big part of their live set, but that they didn't. Well, they put out Street Waves as a single, which we'll get to that. We'll listen to the B side for that on the next side. That was when their lineups finally solidified, and it was like the next side. It's gonna all be the modern dance lineup, except for the last two songs where it's a different guitar player. But yeah, like at this point, they were still kind of like coming together and figuring out how they would sound. But they did have like faster, more aggressive songs. Like on modern dance, there's Street Waves and Life Stinks, but there's also Non-Alignment Pact. There's also how modern dance ends up turning out, like the title track turns out on that album. There's Humor Me there, but like at this point, yeah, it's like more like what they were leading with was like more of the creepy, spooky sound and less of the high energy aggressive sound.
I need to listen to that album because I haven't heard. I'm hearing the early shit before I'm hearing it in the right order, I guess.
Yeah, you're hearing it in the order in which it was released, more or less. Yeah. But yeah, we'll go through track by track a little bit. Heart of Darkness. I really liked this one. I liked the out of sync vocals. You know, like how they used like two different takes and made one like kind of drag behind the other a little bit, and one sounded much more like deadpan, and one sounded much more anxious. And I think it's funny that someone who was reluctant to sing, they used two vocal tracks by him on it, on top of each other. I like the bass line. I like the bass six around it. I think what really stands out on this first track are especially the bass and the vocals. Like the synth is kind of buried in it. Like they moved to one guitar after this point. After we get to the other side, they have one official guitar player in the band. And when they take out one guitar, the synth really has much more room to breathe, and like you notice it more. But like, yeah, on this, what really stands out is the bass guitar and the vocals. And I love the lyrics to it. This has been a song I've used to wallow in misery before. It's it's great for that.
Tell us how you really feel, Dave.
Yeah.
I like the minimalist low gain guitar playing mixed with the powerful punchy bass that just kind of built into a powerful like rock song. And then I also remember really liking the cool tom heavy breakdown. So a great way to open the album, I think.
Yeah, and then it builds. So like by the end, it's not quite as minimalist, and everyone's playing much more aggressively.
Yeah, I was thrown off. Like at first, I was thrown off at the double vocal. I was like, is it? I was wondering if like the record was fucked up, and like Dave's like, no, that's how it's supposed to sound. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I
got criticized for doing something similar with one of my songs.
But yeah, on that one I could really hear the Bauhaus, how they influence, because there's some very draggy, like just bass and drum part. How like Bauhaus does that, like, and then I like the draving bass. Yeah, the bass was good.
Yeah,
I love the bass.
Yeah, and it makes sense that this is the song that Mission of Burma covered too, because by doing the two slightly out of sync vocals, it's really drawing on like how much they like to fuck around with tape stuff, even like live on stage, to confuse people. And like Mission of Burma on stage looked like a three-piece, but they had a fourth member who was at the soundboard with a reel-to-reel tape player plugged in, and he would like fuck with the recording in real time and like double up and reverse like vocals or bass or drums or guitar, and people would be like, how's this much sound coming out of the stage with this? And then like during the encore, he would like pick up a guitar and play one song with them, like all four of them would be on stage, and then he'd go back to and so yeah, like the artier post-punk bands really did draw a lot from this era. But yeah, this is like, I think this is like works really solid as an opener because of the slow build too. Not that the next two songs don't also slow build, but
yeah,
I feel like this really works as an album opener. because of the way it like slowly introduces the elements and then.
And so what did you
Goes from
think of
there.
the second songs, 30 Seconds to Over Tokyo?
This is my favorite song on this side, honestly. This one's really good.
The song is a lie.
Yeah,
It's-
it's like 7 minutes long.
It's 6 minutes long. It's not 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's about the Doolittle raids. The synths and at least one of the guitars always sound like either engines or machine gun fire or bombs dropping at any given time, especially in like the improvised breakdown in the middle. This one, being a Rocket from the Tombs song, it's funny to think of like members of the Dead Boys playing this along with them, because this is not the kind of shit the Dead Boys played at all. But there's live bootlegs of Rocket from the Tombs, and yeah, you can if you want to hear members of the Dead Boys playing this song, it exists. And I think like Cheetah Chrome like doing like a downstrum, like rhythm guitar during the improvised breakdown, while like Peter Laffner is going nuts like soloing, actually does sound really good. Like I like that version too. Like both of those versions are really good, although the bootleg one is much lower quality of recording, but it's good. Like it's definitely worth checking out. Rocket from the Tombs too.
I really like this song. It the intro made me think of the Twilight Zone, so that was cool.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that it had this like stoner rock or desert rock vibe. It wouldn't be out of place at like a Generator party. And I like the avant-garde breakdown, and the jazzy section was really cool. And I like the abrupt ending.
Yeah.
It was like the off key like synths, like there was parts where there was like some synth that was a little off key from like what the guitar or whatever.
Yeah.
That sound, and then there was a one part where like the vocals did like a vocal like distortion, and I was like, oh my god, that sounds like such a 90s vocal distortion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like Monster Magnet during that part.
I was like, wow, that's like way ahead of its time.
Yeah. And then like the synth. This is my favorite synth work on this side of the record too. Just like the way it sounds like an engine like sputtering out after getting shot. It's amazing. Yeah. It's a little on the nose, but it's amazing.
Final Solution.
Didn't
like the name.
Yeah.
Was this song a commentary on Nazism?
No, the song is a teenage angst song. It's a teenage suicide song, basically.
So they predicted the Columbine shooting.
Yeah, they stopped playing it live after a little while when they saw how many like punk bands were like getting into like displaying Nazi imagery too. Like they had stopped playing it live around the modern dance era and refused to until they got back together in like '88. Like there's an earlier EP of non-album stuff that this kind of supplanted that didn't include it on it.
Why should I stop playing my song when they're the ones that suck?
Yeah. And like David Thomas has always said that he didn't mean for it to be about the Holocaust, that he was referencing a Sherlock Holmes story called The Final Problem. However, this is a Rocket from the Tombs song, and Cheetah Chrome and Johnny Blitz were known to wear swastikas for shock value in the Dead Boys. And there was a poster of like a flyer for a live show for Rocket from the Tombs that did have like iron crosses on it and like Holocaust imagery. So I think Thomas wrote an edgy song when he was young and angry and was ashamed by it. And it unfortunately happened to be one of his better songs, and he couldn't live it down. And
because it's a banger.
Yeah, because it's a fantastic song.
It's got like a great noisescape synth. The bass on it sounds huge. Yeah, really cool song.
It was kind of the most punky song too.
Yeah, it's the one that gets put on punk compilations that include PERE UBU a lot. Like that
makes sense.
Yeah. And so yeah,
Just not a great name.
just not a great name.
Yeah. Well, I bet you, like, if he did write it as, like, a teen suicide song, but maybe he didn't know at the time what Final Solution meant.
I mean, that's possible. He was just a guy from Ohio.
And, like, but, like, his other compatriots were like, oh, he probably called it Final Problem.
Yeah.
And then, like, oh, no, Final Solution. And he's like, oh, yeah, there you go. And then they're like, oh, and then later on, he's like, oh, fuck, those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah,
I was there, you know.
Yeah.
It's plausible.
That makes more sense than, oh, it's just always been a Sherlock Holmes song. So yeah, especially with like that old flyer, which I have seen a picture of because the internet is forever.
Cloud 149.
I like this one. This one is of the first three tracks of the first four tracks, the four songs with Peter Lafner on it. This one is the least essential in my opinion.
It was kind of whimsical, though.
Yeah.
It kind of helped, I think, like, for, like, the heavier, doomier songs, and then it kind of goes into a whimsical song.
Yeah. This kind of foreshadows what they would sound like when they started putting out albums, too. This sounds more like their classic era. It's just they started doing this kind of stuff better as they got more comfortable with it, so...
I thought it sounded bouncy and like a demented circus.
Yeah. It sounded a lot like Television to me, too, which was a pretty big influence on Peter Lafner's playing. But, yeah, unfortunately, with Peter Lafner leaving the band, there's a lot of stuff that has never been released. Like, eventually, like, his home demos and, like, live bootleg stuff got released. So we've heard more or less all of his songs, but these are the only four songs that he's played on that were officially, like, recorded in a professional studio and mixed and mastered by, like, real engineers. So, like, this is mainly his legacy.
And he had a huge following off of 4 songs?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then, like, once he developed the following off those 4 songs, like, he was personal friends with Richard Hell, too, which I think was part of it.
Oh, okay.
And he tried to join Television briefly after... Richard Lloyd quit.
Oh, okay.
But Richard Lloyd rejoined before anything could come of it. Like there was a brief window of time after he got fired from PERE UBU, and Richard Lloyd tried to quit Television, and shortly before Lafner died, where he tried to join Television, but Lloyd said that it was never seriously considered. But who knows? Maybe Lloyd wasn't in the band anymore, so who can say how serious it was?
He's probably like, that motherfucker can never have my job.
Yeah.
If you had the ability to dimension hop, I bet that'd be one of your stops to go check that album out.
Yeah.
Album and or show or whatever.
Yeah. And then lastly, Untitled, The Modern Dance. Yeah, I like the version, like what they ended up re-recording with their finalized lineup a little more than this, but this is good. It's fun to hear the roots of it. Like, I think Alan Greenblatt is a good guitar player. I don't know if his style necessarily fits this kind of music.
Oh,
I think I like this version a little more than the one that ended up on the album. For me, I really like the weird lead guitar note selection. I thought it really fit the song.
The bluesy guy, yeah. I don't know. I like the more funky bass from Tony Mimoni. I like the weird, like, tape conversations that are, like, in the song on the final version, and I like the backup singer saying "merda merda" on the final version too. Like, shit,
yeah, merda. I like the creepy nature of the song. I don't really know about the breakdown. I thought that was kind of weird. The guitar was kind of fun. I remember it was kind of like ding 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 ding. So,
yeah,
I don't know. So you said it's a different guitarist on the actual album?
Oh, Tom Herman is in both this version and the one on the album, but by that point, Tom Herman was the only guitar player in the band. So it's just like one guitar, and then it's a different bass player because Tim Wright was the original bass player, and after Lafner quit, he didn't know what to do in the band, and he and Thomas butt heads a lot. and Wright wanted to keep doing a 2-guitar thing. Thomas thought that the 2 guitars were overpowering the synths. And so they kind of split from there. Wright joined a no-wave group called DNA, and he did good stuff with them. But this was like, they were never as big as PERE UBU, and he died, I think, in like the late 90s, early aughts, so he never had like as big a career as I think he should have. But he also didn't have as small of a career as Lafner, so...
I know, that's crazy, that because you're telling me, like, because at the beginning of the episode you were saying how much like people have been like re-examining him, and like how the lead Dave Thomas, founder of
yeah,
didn't want to talk about him. He's like, he was an asshole.
Yeah. He passed out during practice and I had to wake him up with a microphone stand. Yeah. Yeah.
I could really go for some nuggets right now.
Yeah. Dip them in a Frosty.
Yep.
You fucking heathen.
Yeah, you should beep that out, though, because they're not paying us. But yeah, that was...
I made a great joke about the founder of and you want to beep it out. What the fuck?
Yeah. Nah, it's alright at this point. But yeah, no, like, yeah, Wendy's, yeah. But this was like this first side is their dark period, pretty much. Like the very first song of the next side was the Modern Dance lineup doing like a darker song, but it, like, you notice like the next side, like things lightening up consistently throughout the whole thing, and like this was, I guess, as they kept going, they got less angsty, more or less. There's a few like dark and moody songs on Modern Dance, but like the whole mood of the album is much more lighthearted than these first 5 songs here.
Less angst in their pants.
Yes. But yeah,
means they had some release.
they did. Also, David Thomas stopped rejecting his parents' religion at some point around, like, between Dub Housing and New Picnic Time, and was a practicing Jehovah's Witness until they broke up, and then never talked, and may or may not have been the rest of his life, but never talked about it again once the band got back together in '88. So who knows? They had a song off their 3rd album called Kingdom Comes, which is like their only song that directly references his religion. But like, I think there is a degree to which him lightening up too much because he was less miserable might have been a factor with the band falling apart. It made them rock less hard a little bit. But yeah.
Well, the second song on this side is called Heaven.
Yes, but that is a love song.
Oh.
Yeah. And the
maybe it's about loving God.
Well, the lyrics for Heaven were part of a song from like their early live set called I Can't Believe It. So I don't think it's a God song. Like the chorus is different, but like the verses are the same. So I don't think this was a part of his Jehovah's Witnesses era, more or less, but it does come pretty fast. Like, there's a theory that dub housing is called that because one of the things people call Jehovah's Witnesses are dubs. So
I didn't know that. Why do they call them that?
I have no idea.
Is Jehovah's Witnesses the one that try to sell you clock towers?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones that don't practice any holidays.
They don't practice any holidays, but they are allowed to drink. So
they're not like Mormons.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Save the clock tower.
You know who the most famous Jehovah's Witness musician is, though?
Probably.
No.
Michael Jackson.
Oh.
Prince was a Jehovah's Witness too.
Yeah. And so it's like they are not as prudish as other Christian sects, but they're also not the kind of people who would do songs about teenage suicide that reference the Holocaust either. So
So if they don't do holidays and like they're not supposed to go into work, like do they just treat it like a normal day?
more or less, yeah.
That's weird.
It is.
They probably just take it as a day off.
Yeah, most people know them from their door-to-door thing and are annoyed by them by that. But like as far as religions with missionaries, though, they are less annoying to me than the people who will hold up the big signs about Satan and hell outside on like university campuses and scream at people for being gay. So, you know.
You know who actually from my childhood was the worst was the Baptist.
Oh yeah.
So I'll have a quick story about this, or it's a story.
Yeah.
Anyways, they came to my door one time, and the lead person was this girl that was actually very attractive. So
They
she
always send the
wanted,
hot ones out
and
from
she
the
wanted to
shows.
talk to me, so I let her talk to me. And then all of a sudden they started coming back, and like it was never the same girl. I'm like, okay, you guys send the redhead back.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah.
Hey, I was a horny teenager, so
Yeah.
shoot me.
Oh, they knew what they were doing.
And because she's like, you gotta let Jesus into your heart, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And she's like pointing at her chest, and I'm like, yep.
Yep.
I will let him into your heart. I mean, my heart.
Yeah.
My mom had a similar experience. She, a couple guys came to her door and they were like hot guys, and so I don't know if they were targeting like middle-aged women or something. But...
Maybe. And then like so then they started coming back, and they're like, well, we could take you, and it was like 20-year-old dudes, and I'm like, nah, I don't want you guys, bring the redhead back.
Yeah.
And they started saying, oh, we could take you to, like, do you have a way to get to the church? And I'm like, no, I don't drive. And they're like, oh, we could come and pick you in the van. And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere in a van with you guys. And then finally they came back, and I saw them coming, and I had this white zombie shirt that like had a like this, it was just like so like it had like this guy on it like all fucked up, and like he had war carved in his chest and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, is this church appropriate here?
Yeah.
They didn't come back after that, so I was happy.
One time I was hanging out with a couple friends, and I had like a AC/DC shirt on, which is funny because AC/DC is like such an inoffensive band. They're like the Simpsons of music, like offended Christians or something. But anyway, so there was somebody passing out like flyers, and so they hand it to each one of my friends, and they look at me with my AC/DC shirt, and they don't even bother handing me one.
That's right. I'll go to hell.
Aren't they supposed to try to save you from yourself? I thought that was the whole point of them going door to door.
Yeah, that's why it's funny to me that it was AC/DC. Like, I could see them being like, oh, Slayer, he's too far gone, but AC/DC?
AC/DC, yeah. Like, I guarantee you they have some practitioners that wear AC/DC shirts on their days off.
I'm sure they have some practitioners who listen to AC/DC.
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe it was more that, like, when I have a neutral face, I just look mean. So maybe it was more had to do with that.
Well, okay, so this one has more to do with like overt racism than anything. That's kind of so when I was an electrician for a bit. Like I did electrician apprentice for like a year or so, and you know the clock that's in front of the Quest Center. What is it called now?
Yeah.
CHI Center.
Yeah.
You know, the big one that's blue?
It'll always be the Quest Center to me.
I know,
I'll be dead in the ground before
Yeah.
I recognize the CHI Health Center.
I know, it sounds like a fucking hospital.
It does.
I could see somebody getting confused by that and
Yeah.
like trying to go there to get like care.
Yeah. So I actually helped put in like the electrical for that clock. And like there was a bunch of ground lighting that we dug up and like put in ground lights and stuff. And so while we were doing that, it was during I think it was like Hispanic Awareness Month or something like that, or like Hispanic Celebration Month or something
Yeah.
like that. And
Hispanic History Month.
yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. I think that was it. Anyways, and they were having like this convention down there, and it was during Bush's whole like let's just say Donald Trump wasn't the first fucker to like put on the whole like anti-immigration thing. Bush was doing that shit in the early aughts, that people just forget about it.
Yeah.
Too many people give George Bush a pass.
I know, and
Yeah.
it's like, fuck that dude. He was terrible.
It's like he actually stole the election. Like,
Yeah.
People seem to forget that.
And-
like when people talk about decorum and shit. But
Yeah.
anyway.
And there was a huge protest in front of the Quest Center, and this guy that I worked with, he was kind of your typical looking American guy that was like, kind of blonde hair and stuff. Me at the time, I have black hair, and I was actually quite dark because I was working outside a lot.
Yeah.
So what did I look like?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he comes up and starts talking to us, and he's talking to, like, I didn't want a fucking thing to do with the guy. And he starts talking to that dude that looked like a typical American guy, and he's shooting me fucking daggers because he thinks I'm Hispanic, and that the other guy's like working with Hispanics, and he's like, do you feel good about these guys taking our jobs? And I swear to God, he said that. I'm like, and I want to say, hey, fuck you, pendejo, fuck
Yeah.
you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I was, yeah.
Sean was a target of racism.
I was a target of racism because I have black hair
Yeah.
and was tanned
Yeah.
because I had been working outside.
You better not tan anymore, because ICE might throw you into a van.
I know.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I could get taken away in the middle of the night, and they're like, "What country are you from?" America. Anyways,
Take you to that weird El Salvadorian prison. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Okay, we're getting dark. We're getting about
we're getting
Darkest
off, yeah.
PERE UBU now.
Yeah, PERE UBU. So yeah, on this next side we have My Dark Ages, Heaven, The Book is on the Table, Humor Me. I got that backwards. Humor Me, then The Book is on the Table, and it's a live version of Humor Me. Not Happy and Lonesome Cowboy Dave. The lineup for this is the same almost all the way through. It's David Thomas on vocals, Scott Herman on guitar, Tony Maimone on bass and piano, Alan Ravenstein on synth and tapes, and Scott Krause on drums. The last two songs was after Tom Herman quit the band because he was tired of the Jesus shit, and he was replaced by Mayo Thompson, who was the guitar player from the Red Crayola, which was like a psychedelic band that PERE UBU had toured with and all guested on one of his albums called Soldier Talk, which was an anti-war album. But yeah, they just brought in Mayo Thompson at that point, and the guitar playing is pretty different in that. I like Mayo Thompson. I think his stuff fits Red Crayola better than PERE UBU, but the two albums he was on are good. Like, he did good stuff with it. But
I can tell you already, my favorite one's Lonesome Cowboy Dave.
Going forward, every episode you have to introduce yourself as Lonesome Cowboy Dave now.
Oh, after you hear the song, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to introduce myself from that song. But you'll have to hear it first. But yeah,
It's my favorite already.
Yeah. But yeah, this is at a point where this starts at a point where they're more stable and ends at a point where they're less stable, while the other one is just them being unstable the whole time. So this side's a little more cohesive. I like the first side a little more because it's a brief era that they never really got completely back to. Although, like in like the mid '90s to the aughts, they would call back to that era more than they did later. But yeah, but like my favorite track on the album is off of this side, so we will talk about that more after we put the album on.
All right.
And we are back. So fellas, what'd you think of this side of music?
I wish Dan was here for the second half of this album, because like the last three songs sounded like our experimental project Lucid Fugue.
Yeah.
Like to me, this sounds a lot like both of our bands mixed together.
Yeah.
But this side was a lot goofier, didn't take itself as seriously as the first side, and
Less cohesive to me.
Yeah.
it explored a lot of territory.
The first three songs of of this side, though, like, my favorite song on this whole record is on there. And then, like, the other two within that are, I think, as strong as anything on the first side.
Can I guess what your favorite one is?
Yes.
Heaven.
Got it.
That was my favorite. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
so good.
My Dark Ages, Heaven, and Humor Me all sound like the kind of stuff we do with the Alliterates.
It's true.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I like listening to Humor Me. I was kind of like, oh, this sounds like something we would actually write.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, this was like a weird transition because like the first three songs you can tell it's a band that has really gelled together in a way that the band that you're hearing on all the first side really hadn't yet. And then even though The Book Is on the Table was part of a double B-side off of their third album with the live version of Humor Me. Humor Me was like the last song of Modern Dance, so it was when the original lineup was finally starting to have like enough internal friction within it that it was no longer as cohesive anymore. And so yeah, like it starts off with like a really like tight band really gelling together, and then the last three songs are when the internal tensions are making them not like to be together anymore. Basically, yeah.
yeah.
But they recorded something that's kind of goofy and fun as a result, which is interesting. But like the notes that came with this is even talking about how grueling some of those sessions were and how there were so many ideas started and abandoned because they couldn't agree on where to take it at this time.
Well, I will say, like, the last three songs just kind of sounded like improvising. Like they were just fucking around.
Yeah.
Well, as professional fucker arounders, I mean, yeah, it sounded a lot like our sessions for Artificial Flesh.
Yeah. Which we would then edit down into something, but it would still, like, Artificial Flesh is a lot more confrontational than these three songs, but it's me kind of trying to channel this kind of energy into doing something, or at least how I was approaching it. I don't think Dan was approaching it this way, and Steve, I think you were more on my wavelength for this, but not like to the same degree necessarily at all times. But it was me kind of trying to take the energy of these last three songs but make them as confrontational as like the beginning of this side one of this record.
I think it's interesting how Lucid Fugue is like Dan trying to wrangle our ideas and make it semi-coherent. It's interesting. But
so, track by track?
Track by track. My Dark Ages. I like this song quite a bit. I think this song, like, new bass player Tony Memone really, really nails it. Tom Herman's guitar solo in the last half is really good, and it makes a case for him being the sole guitar player in the band. I like the lyrics. Like, the last time I was single, which was like 12 years ago, this was like I am going to sit in the space and be okay with the fact that I'm single song. I don't get around. I don't fall in love much. It's like, it's kind of dreary and gloomy, but it's not hopeless. It's a really good song. I like it. Like, if you find footage of them playing it live, just how much the guitar solo just tears up in the live version. It's amazing. Yeah, this is them finally coming together. The A-side to this single was Street Waves, which was like one of the punkiest songs off of Modern Dance. And so for them to go from just a really like fast, aggressive song about a pile of abandoned tires that David Thomas once saw, decided to write a song about, because a lot of PERE UBU's early stuff was about urban decay because they were from Cleveland.
Well, you know what? Put in the comments below what your favorite "I'm Single" song is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since Dave's is so upbeat.
Yeah.
Fuck me, dude. This was your like "I'm Single." This song's like doom and gloom, dude.
Yeah, but the lyrics have like a little bit of hope in them.
It's okay.
Yeah. Things will be all right.
Yeah.
I don't get around.
While you're slitting your wrist.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's the last really dark song on the whole record too, and it's when they like had solidified their lineup for when they moved out of their dark period too. So it's like it is a transitional piece from the band that did Final Solution to the band that did Kingdom Come a few albums later.
I could see a doom metal band covering this song.
Yeah.
So Sean brings up how grim it sounds, so I have to agree with that. I think the lo-fi production on the vocals worked a lot, and the emphasis on the bass and the bass drum like worked really well.
I liked Tony Mimone's like jazz piano stuff that he's doing in addition to his bass line too. That's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. That was an excellent addition.
I thought the drums are pretty sparse.
Yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure it was just a bass drum.
I think that like when it picked up a little bit and had.
You're right. Yeah.
And I liked with the bass drum just like that white noise synth hit that they did alongside it.
Yeah.
That sounded really cool and like booming.
But yeah, it did sound very different, the guitar work.
Yeah.
Where I did think it was a different guitarist, but you're like,
Yeah,
no,
I noticed the previous guitar player had a lot more jazz overtones to his playing, and this one I think is probably just more bluesy. Would you say, Sean?
I think it's because he was on the previous one, but he had another guitarist with him. Yeah. So I think that he was just making up for that, that void, you know, or he was sitting in his pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like giving him the chance to just like shine and be like the sole guitar player was like, I think sticking with one guitar player after like the untitled early version of Modern Dance thing kind of fell apart and got rejected for the compilation was the right call. I thought giving Tom Herman like room to like sit in the band and really find his place in it because he wasn't competing for space with anyone else really helped develop their sound and like really made the case for him as a guitar hero, as like someone and like one of the principal songwriters in the band too. He really shines, especially on like Modern Dance and Dub Housing when like he and David Thomas are still getting along. He is interestingly enough, like when the band got back together in '88, he wasn't one of the ones that came back. Another like Cleveland musician who was in a band called the Electric Eels and was at like their early shows and the like was the one who joined the band at that point. And then when and his name was Jim Jones. And when Jim Jones of the Electric Eels like played with them for a while, and they got like he gave them more of a pop sound. But then like when Jim Jones of the Electric Eels got cancer and wasn't able to play live anymore, Tom Herman came back to the band in like 1998.
Wow.
So like he was out of the band from like 1980 until like 1998. So, but he like stayed with the band until 2005 at that point and didn't leave on bad terms. He left because he was old and wanted to stay in Cleveland, and the band moved to England at that point. But years after that, he would still play with them on stage when they went through Ohio. So, yeah. And then like on PERE UBU's website, when like people are, like Dave Thomas was the one answering most of the questions, but when people asked about how the music was written, he would like fondly quote Tom Herman saying like the best rock parts are the parts where you don't have to move your hand as much, like stuff like that. He had like a very like Velvet Underground theory of playing guitar too.
Oh yeah.
I remember when you mentioned in the last episode that you mentioned the Electric Eels, and then you mentioned they were shock rock, and Dan was like, "Isn't that a bit on the nose?"
Yeah. Heaven, best song on the record.
Yeah, that was great. I think it was cheery. It actually was very Pixies-esque.
Yeah, Pixies were very influenced by PERE UBU. Hence, they poached a member from them. But yeah,
I was like, man, I could definitely hear Frank Black playing this song.
Yeah.
I like that it sounded happy and approached like surf territory, but never quite reached surf territory.
Yeah.
but it had like a discordant synth in the background. Yeah, great song. My favorite was probably 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, but that's a A+ one in my books.
I can see that being your favorite too. Yeah, but yeah, like I love Heaven. I like the three-part harmonies. Yeah, like just like the three-part harmonies together. I love the guitar solo.
Just like a good Christian, you love Heaven.
Yes. But you know the do 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 do, and then I liked it when they then overdubbed a little like key change. The same solo over that too, and
yeah, it was my favorite song because you're like, as soon as you said like my favorite song was on this side, I'm like, okay, I need to see which one is gonna be Dave's favorite song, and I called it.
Yep.
Wait, it's not Lonesome Cowboy Dave?
Well, we'll get to that one.
We'll get to that. Yeah, like I think, like sometimes when I listen to this on CD, I have stopped the CD at this point, even though I like Humor Me a lot too, because, well, the studio version of Humor Me is on the Modern Dance, and while I really like this live version, he does kind of improvise other vocals over one of my favorite vocal parts of Humor Me, which, yeah, let's move on to Humor Me. Do we have anything else to say about Heaven, though?
No.
No, okay, yeah.
Would listen to it again.
Yeah. Highlight of the album, really is. Like, one of the best B-sides I think I've ever heard, too.
Yeah.
It's a B-side that is as good as anything off of their album, which is, by some metrics, their best album. So this was when they're at their most energetic and most essential. But yeah, Humor Me was the last track off of Modern Dance, and it was the song that they wrote to process Peter Laffner's death. The lyrics, like, he improvises and a lot over it, so you miss some of the lyrics that are in the studio version, which makes me not like it as much as the studio version. It's still a good live take and like really high energy, really good performance, but like the fact that maybe he wasn't feeling the lyrics as much in 79 when he was a happier person than 78 when he was still processing his former friend's death might have something to do with that. But like some of the lyrics that aren't really in it is like when he says another day, another dollar, step, step, step. On the album he's saying, another day to suffer, well, that's the way of the West. Suffer. And I just like that so much better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
I don't have any point of reference. I just thought, as soon as I started hearing it, I'm like, well, I can imagine our band writing this song.
Yeah.
It's definitely a illiterate song.
It sounds like an illiterate song. I like the guitar solo at the end. I like just like the bitter delivery of "It's a joke, man."
It's a joke.
Yeah, that especially reminded me of us because, I mean, we did that song.
We did it. It's just a joke, bro.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a good song. It's the studio version is my favorite song off of Modern Dance, which makes it in like my top tier of PERE UBU songs, like definitely in like the top 5. But yeah, the studio version better, where you can feel the bitterness more, for me just works a little more than this version. This is still a great version. This is, if you don't like the last 3 songs, this is a good one to go out on.
Steve, what did you think of this song?
Well, you guys pretty much expressed my opinions on it. It reminded me a lot of the music that all 4 of us make together. All 3 of it. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
I liked that the chaotic synth would come in and kind of, I don't know, not derail it, but you know, make the car wobble a bit.
I heard there's an interview like from like the late 80s, early 90s reunion era that I found on YouTube once where David Thomas was talking, and the like interview asked him about, you know, like all like the layers of like the synth noises under it, because he's like, well, like lyrically what's expressed in a rock song isn't all that's going on, you know. It's like it's never just my baby left me and I'm sad, it's my baby left me and I'm sad, but then in the background you're thinking, oh no, we live together and now I can't make rent next month, and you know, and then it's just like everything that's on your mind keeps layering behind and behind and behind it, and so just like putting like layers of noise behind all of the music allows him to express what you know, like one voice just can't.
Yeah.
And that's
layers, man.
layers. And that's also kind of what influenced, like, this kind of stuff is really what influenced my synth playing too, and why I do a lot of like stuff with like noises and tape feedback and like screeching theremin sounds and that kind of stuff. I
was working on the bootleg from the show where we played in the church, and there's a point where Dan stops the show because Dan was doing sound, because he thought something was feeding back, but it was just your theremin.
Yeah.
He's like, "What is it? It's supposed to be loud and annoying," and you're like, "Yeah."
It was actually my acoustic guitar that was making that noise.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something.
Do you want
lost
to
it.
dance?
Yeah.
A modern dance?
Yeah.
No.
No. But yeah. Like,
No.
Humor Me, I also think is just like a great expression of someone you miss but didn't necessarily like.
Oh, I remember. So to follow up on how you said that's like influences your synth sound, I remember you telling me that you could tell when Dinger wrote the synth part because it's more like a piano.
Yeah. And it would just follow the guitar exactly. Like, what's the point of having a separate instrument here? Yeah, like.
I think I've given you like leeway to do what you want to do.
Oh, you definitely have. Yeah.
Is that why you added like a second synth eventually? Is to be like, all right, I'll play this on this part, but I'll do what I want with this synth.
Yeah. And I would always, like find something that worked in the key and would also want some time to play around with it, and he'd get mad while I was playing around with it because it wouldn't work at first because I was trying to figure out what fit. That it's like, the song's not done being written yet. Give me space to find what I'm trying to do before you start yelling at me.
I remember like one time when Dinger brought in a song, he had everything he wanted. He had a vision. And I don't remember what song it was, but he had a vision. He wanted it this way. He wanted the bass to play this way. He wanted the guitar this way, the synth this way, the drums this way. And he's like, he turns to Dave. He's like, "That's how you bring in a song," to Dave. And then I think 2 weeks later, me and Dave brought in "Your Dry Wedding Is Boring."
Yeah.
And all we had was like the guitar part.
See, I don't think that's a bad approach, but I also don't think there's anything wrong with being like, I have 2/3 of a song here. Let's flesh it out. I mean, we recently did that with Eradicate.
Yeah.
I had a demo, and we all fleshed it out into our song. So
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened with Your Dry Wedding Is Boring, because I basically was like, this is the guitar, but this is just going to be the bass part. But this is kind of what we're talking about. And then it ended up, a lot of people said it was like their favorite song from Gong Farmer.
Yeah. And then when we brought it together, we did kind of like a call and response between like the synth and the guitar, while the bass held down the whole thing. It was like a lot of like stop start stuff. It sounded really collaborative too as a whole. It was a good song, and
it sounded like Nickelback.
Yeah. We kind of stopped playing it live after you left the band too, because it didn't like feel right playing it without you.
It would have been fine.
It probably would have been, but yeah.
I thought the bass player after me was like, "Oh, I love playing that song."
Yeah, but which one? Because we had 2 bass players after you.
The one that was immediately after me.
Okay, yeah, he didn't stay in the band long because he flaked out.
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah.
I remember teaching somebody like how to.
It might have been him, yeah.
Okay, I think so he came in, he stayed a bit, and then someone left, and I replaced them for a bit.
Yeah,
I came
that
back. What's that?
Yeah.
Was that guy? That guy?
I think so. Or, yeah, and then there was Matt, who was in the band until the very end.
Yeah, and that's the guy that replaced me.
Yeah, maybe Matt liked playing it, and we just didn't. Like the rest of us had like moved on at that point. Who knows? Yeah, like we stopped playing "We Ain't Got No Soul" pretty early, and that pissed people off. And like
that was kind of like I remember like not wanting to play that one
Yeah.
live.
And then
Because as soon as we stopped doing the drum machine with it, it kind of was like, eh,
But we've pulled it off with the Alliterates.
we have,
acoustically.
and then also there's like a lot of people have told me how much they like Carry On Birds by the Alliterates. It's only in about half of our live sets anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's like I think at some point a band doesn't feel a song, or at least putting it in the set as much as they did before, and moves on to some degree. But yeah,
Well,
I had a similar thing with Imperfect Anarchy and Megaton, because Megaton version 1 was very different than what ended up recording Destroyer Worlds, and for whatever reason, Mario, as great of a drummer as he is, he could not play some of the Dave songs right. And I think Dave just had this weird chaotic energy to him that a lot of people didn't like, but I think works. It's kind of something that I channeled myself into my own drumming. But yeah, sometimes different lineups just don't play earlier songs the same way,
yeah.
Well, this like Carry On Birds is the same line.
Well, yeah. I was talking more about the Gong Farmer experience, but
Every now and then I want to bring back some of the songs we played really early on and then didn't really go to. Like I'd like to do Vonnegut. Well, the real name of that is Your Personal Brand Is Who You Pretend to Be at a show again at some point. But yeah,
I would have to remember.
we'd have to relearn it. Yeah.
I'd probably change what I did, because I don't remember liking what I did very much.
I think I want to put it on the album, but we can rework it to do that because I feel like it unfortunately became relevant again. But it's about people who ironically become Nazis on Twitter and then just become real Nazis.
we should bring back White Collar Murder Ballad.
We should, if we want to do like old Gong Farmer songs. I do
Dun,
I do like the idea of only doing like one Gong Farmer song and one Buggy song at a show though. Because we're a new band. Yeah. I wouldn't mind doing Up and Coming Neighborhood though from my brief period in Tiananmen Squares though. That would be fun, but yeah.
Sean, you're gonna have to learn Sari's Final Despair.
I wouldn't mind doing it in
know what
Perfect
song that
Anarchy
is.
again.
I think Alcoholic
Megaton.
Wizards with this lineup would be fun.
It would be, yeah. But yeah, Humor Me, great song, one of my favorite PERE UBU songs. I just don't think this live version is quite as good as Heaven. Well, I think the studio version, when Peter Laffner's death is still a little fresh, has like a certain bitterness to it that this version doesn't quite capture, even though it's a good version otherwise. Like I like a complicated morning song, which is also why one of my favorite New Order songs is A Perfect Kiss. But anyway, moving on. We're moving
Steve,
on to the songs that Sean doesn't like.
Steve, you bring us into The Book Is on the Table.
I fucking loved it. It's experimental. It's avant-garde. It's chaotic. It had like a jazzy intro.
It's shit.
Loose structure. And in the background is like a French woman like ranting. Kind of reminded me of the song that we put together with Public Domain Parts. Elevator to Purgatory, where in the background it's like, I think it's a French like train station or something. Yeah. So yeah, I loved it, but I love weird nonsensical experimental projects.
It's even less structured than Elevator to Purgatory though. But yeah,
It was just a sound collage.
Yeah.
That was kind of what it was.
This is the first song on the whole thing that felt like a B-side to me. Like the live version of Humor Me and The Book Is on the Table were a double B-side to the A-side off their third album, New Picnic Time, which was the fabulous sequel, which is a good song.
That's how I told Dave we're going to start marketing Artificial Flesh. It's just an entire album of B-sides.
Yeah. But yeah, like I think it's a good song. I think there's other bands who did this kind of thing better. Like I think Cabaret, like the industrial bands like Cabaret Voltaire and Throbbing Gristle, were able to do this kind of thing a little better because that was like their main focus. But I think it's fine. I think it's fun. It's it just doesn't feel as essential as everything that comes before it. It feels a little bit more like a throwaway.
It was crap. I'm just crapping on it because Steve loved it so much.
Yeah. It is funny. We have like the range of emotions about it as a song here.
Just to Sean, this is the Ace Frehley of PERE UBU.
Yeah. No, this is also. Oh, go ahead.
Well, it's just I was gonna say it reminded me of like the Beatles doing my name, look up the number, where it's just them saying that over and over again, but just different noises.
Yeah, this is like the White Album.
Yeah. Like number 9, I really actually can't stand Revolution number 9, which is the sound collage on the last side.
I think the Beatles were trying things with sound collage. I think there's other bands who have done sound collage much better than them, and maybe we're inspired by them. But yeah.
And then Not Happy. It was happy.
I loved how it sounded happy, but it just sounded like stereotypically happy, and at some point like a recorder came in and was like, well, that's the happiest sounding instrument to me.
This one is interesting because this is when Tom Herman, the guitar player, had finally left the band. Like, by this point in the band, they just talk about how like grueling the recording sessions was and how no one had any ideas to where to take things, and so they just had a bunch of like half-finished and aborted ideas, and they briefly broke up after Tom Herman left, but got back together very soon. I found out recently from like a David Thomas obituary was what made them decide to get back together, even though Tom Herman didn't want to be a part of it, was David Thomas and Alan Ravenstein, the synth player, were at a Talking Heads show in Cleveland, and David came up to Alan and was like, we can do better than this. Which is funny because Talking Heads were an amazing live act, and I don't know if I don't think this era of the band was better than Talking Heads. This would have been to like their expanded funk lineup. So no, they couldn't do better than this. But I admire their ambition and just like pulling forward with that.
And their balls.
Yeah, and their balls. I like Mayo Thomas as a guitar player, like I said before. I like him better with Red Crayola than I do with this, because I feel like Red Crayola is almost a solo project on his end. It was mainly just him and a drummer, and so it was him really driving the songs. And this, it was like trying to find how to fit him into an established band that no longer got along, replacing a guitar player that really wasn't getting along with the rest of them, so it doesn't gel quite the same way. But yeah, he was a great guitar player. He worked a lot with Alan Ravenstein, even more than the rest of PERE UBU. Is there some great like Red Crayola tracks that have Alan synth on it, and it works. It sounds really good. But yeah, I think this era of the band is good. Like if you actually listen to the 2 albums with Mayo Thompson on it, which are The Art of Waking and Song of the Bailing Man. Song of the Bailing Man is when Scott Cross finally got sick of everything and quit and was replaced by Anton Fuhr. But like those last 2 albums before they broke up for good until 1988 are good, and there's a lot to love on them, but they don't have the same like urgency and vitality, and they aren't quite as cohesive as like modern dance and dub housing. But yeah, this is but like even these 2 songs, Not Happy and Lonesome Cowboy Dave, are less cohesive than those albums, because it was largely like them kind of goofing around in the studio to try to find their new sound, and they released some of these half-finished studio goofs as a single, and then did the ideas they were able to develop more on the 2 albums themselves.
Well, yeah, that was kind of my observation with Not Happy and Lonesome Cowboy Dave, is that they were just kind of joke songs, or not. They were just improvising. You could tell they're just like improvising. They're not really. There was nothing that was really like written before they hit record and just started playing.
Yeah. So, Sean, one thing that I'm wondering is, one of the things that people have a hard time approaching about PERE UBU is David Thomas's voice. What did you think about his voice?
It was fine.
Like over the whole thing. Yeah, like I liked it. Like initially when I first heard it, it took a second to click, but like I like it. I think he had like good control over what he did with it. I like him doing what he did is what made me realize, hey, I can make my voice work.
Yeah, I think the first song, the first song on the with Heart of Darkness, where it was like dual, like vocals. I thought that I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Like I thought it was like a tape messed up or something, but like I was like, is that right? And you're like, yeah, that's what's supposed to. I was like, okay.
I remember.
But, yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's not like a master vocalist, but you know, he's doing. But a lot of people that were like punk or post-punk were never master vocalists. Like,
Right, yeah.
I mean, look at like Joy Division. He was not. Ian Curtis wasn't like a master vocalist. He was just kind of doing a Jim Morrison impersonation.
Yeah.
And you know, and then like even with New Order, what's the guy's name?
Bernard Summer.
Yeah, he's like, you know, he's just doing Ian Curtis impersonation.
I think David Thomas is a better vocalist than Bernard Summer, honestly.
Well, yeah, I'd say so too.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked his voice. It took me a little while to get used to, but I liked where it sits with the rest of the instruments. I like what he has a lot of control over it. He's like really good at like improvising like burbles and grunts that fit with what the instruments are doing. Like,
even the first listen through, I'm kind of like wanting to go back to like hear some of the vocals a little bit, because I couldn't really hear a lot of them because they sounded a little bit buried in the mix. But like he had some nice melody-esque.
Yeah.
I remember thinking they were weirder on Modern Dance, but I don't know if I've just gotten used to it.
I think you've probably gotten used to it because
Yes.
like what he's doing vocally is a lot weirder in the last two tracks and on here than anything he did on Modern Dance, I think.
So, PERE UBU is like drinking your first beer.
Yeah.
You're probably not gonna like it at first, but keep trying, and you can become an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I mean, a PERE UBU fan.
Yeah.
You'll get waterboarded into it.
Yeah. But yeah,
You know, I think it's, you know, I probably don't have as much of an issue with it because I've listened to a lot of stuff in the same vein.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem that odd to me.
Yeah. Dan had a hard time getting used to it, but was into it by the end of the album, or it worked for him by the end of the album at least. But yeah, it was I
think,
like it.
I really enjoy vocalists that aren't like born with talent but make do with what they have. Like I think Dave Mustaine's a really good example. Like he's not a very traditionally good vocalist, but like for Megadeth, especially early on, like his voice really fit.
Yeah. Can you guess which Alliterate songs I channel David Thomas into my vocal delivery the most?
House Came Crashing Down.
That's the second most.
I'm thinking Art of Loving Correction.
Yep. They're set in the camp. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like I did hear like where Frank Black would have got some influence from him.
Oh yeah, Frank Black definitely did. Yeah.
So I'm like, when I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh, there's some Frank Black there.
Yeah. I do think one thing that's interesting with like how funky the bass gets and how like weird and jazzy the instruments get, especially in the last two tracks. Would you believe that Mr. Bungle is a fan of this band?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Yeah. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I don't think I've ever listened to Mr. Bungle, but
It's weird.
Yeah.
like people keep saying that we sound like Mr. Bungle, and I'm like,
I don't think we do.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, I've never like there was one guy like at one of our shows. It was like, you guys sound like Mr. Bungle, and I'm like, oh, I've never actually heard anything by. I don't want to now because I feel like if I do hear it, then I'll be like, and I don't like it, then I'm like, do I not like our band?
I think we sound like PERE UBU, and the people who say that haven't listened to PERE UBU.
I think the people that say Mr. Bungle are from like the former Megaton fan area, trying to find something to compare us to.
Yeah.
I forgot who it was. It was one of the other bands we were playing with.
It was one of the guys from what's Jesse's band? Crack Mountain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're like, you sound like Mr. Bungle, and I'm like, I've actually never there. And then when I said that, he didn't believe me. He almost like he was looking at me like, yeah, right, dude. I'm like, dude, no.
A lot of times when Megaton would play with punk bands, I'd have like punk guys come up to me and like name bands that I've never heard of, telling me that we sound like them.
The funny thing was with Gong Farmers, a lot of people told us that we sounded like Dead Kennedys crossed with Kraftwerk, which we did. But Dinger didn't really like Dead Kennedys that much. Like he thought they were fine, but they weren't one of his favorite bands. It was just he was doing kind of like a surf thing, and that's what East Bay Ray was doing.
Yeah,
I like the Dead Kennedys quite a bit, and I do hear that comparison. Although I think by the end, Gong Farmer sounded much more like Joy Division than anything else. We're much more like we're moving into kind of like the gothic, spooky post-punk band range by the end.
I like the Damned.
I think when I was in it, I made it more of a punk band or a punky band because of I don't know, because of like
you played faster.
I played faster. Yeah, I guess that's true. Because, like, what was the one song, the...
Oh, yeah, Wake Me, yeah.
I think I played that faster than anybody else played it before.
And it really sped up that song. That song was better sped up, I think.
Because it started out because I remember hearing like earlier versions of it and it sounded very slow. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
And then I came on, I'm like,
When I was in the band, I made it sound like Megaton. No,
probably.
For some reason, Dinger seemed to think that I wanted to turn the band into Megaton, because I wanted to write songs occasionally, but I don't think he wanted me to. I wanted to be the George Harrison that just brought in a song once in a while. But
yeah, I think my imprint on it was that I played faster than most, and like I think Pete and I got pretty locked in, like pretty well.
Yeah.
As a bass and drums. Like I know Pete was still kind of learning drums, but Pete was actually very like I have to play it the same way every time.
Yeah.
And
I'm the exact opposite.
I know. And I kind of am a bit that way too. Not like, but like I know when I fuck up and I'm like, ah. Anyways.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to fuck up to figure out how you want to change it though. But yeah.
I always love it when you fuck up and it becomes the basis of like a new like lick or something. That's always a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one.
I always like it though that Chili Con Carnal used to be a part of Sunshine on My Butthole. It used to be a bridge, and then we changed it into a separate song.
Well,
that's
it was
longer
because
than every one of our other songs.
Well, it was because you know how I turned it in there because you guys said, oh, we have a song Chili Con Carnal, and I just started playing it like
yeah.
Because I had just those two chords. It's two chords, the whole fucking song.
Yeah.
Improvising off of two chords.
Which I think if you're going to improvise, you have to go off of something like more spare and minimalistic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hey, it gives me plenty of space for my my 808 toms, so.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been meaning to tell you to stop using those.
You can't tell me what to do. You're not my dad.
I'm your god, motherfucker.
But yeah,
you're not Rob Halford.
But yeah, it is kind of interesting that when this album came out, like this compilation, it was them kind of trying to tie a bow on everything after it had ended, and just to like, okay, here's where everything is. But then like a few years later, they reformed. Like what made them reform was like David Thomas still kept doing like solo stuff, and at one point, like later on, like his very not last ever, but last solo thing that he put out before PERE UBU got back together, he had pretty much every member of PERE UBU guesting, and everyone but Tom Herman wanted to come back and like reform the band. And so like the pop version that came back in '88 is interesting because he still used his solo drummer, but in addition to Scott Cross, so their poppiest era is their two drummer era.
That's weird.
Yeah. But they had a long career. The modern dance through New Picnic Time lineup of Thomas, Herman, Mimoni, Ravenstein, Cross, like that whole group never got together again after they split. But every single member of that group, that wasn't their last time in the band either. Like all of them eventually rejoined at some point, just never at the same time, which is cool but frustrating that it was never all of them ever again. But
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All that, and he still had time to make hamburgers.
yes. But yeah, that was Terminal Tower by PERE UBU. A lot of the ways people like to listen to most of these songs is there's a box set called the Hairpin Singles, which is when they had their own label, which is like all of the first side and then My Dark Ages and Heaven, paired with the slightly rougher mixes of Street Waves and the Modern Dance, and it's like a box full of all these back like repressed in 45s, so it's like all singles, and I think that's an interesting way to listen to it. But I also like listening to it all this way and getting like the later different era and seeing it as like an evolution of a band that they thought was over at the time they put the record at.
Well, there's always a risk when you do, because like, unfortunately, in my opinion, the last few songs was a dip in quality, and that's the risk that you take when you do a compilation.
Yeah.
And you do it in chronological order, because if they would have done it like maybe like put them in like a different order instead of the chronological order, it might have broken up those weaker songs. But that's the risk of doing a compilation like that, because like you were saying, you kind of, if you're listening to like the CD version, you'd probably just stop after Humor Me.
Yeah, which I often did.
It did kind of just veer into weird territory like really quick, and then it just stayed there. So I can see where you're coming from. Overall, I thought it was a pretty cohesive compilation, and I think the first side was better than the second side, but overall, I thought it was a great listen.
Yeah, it was fun.
I definitely recommend listening to more of this band, especially if you want to understand what I'm doing, if you listen to my music and then realize that I am not as original as some people think I am. But yeah.
So The Simpsons did it.
The Simpsons did it.
Hey, it makes me feel a lot better about sometimes I'll get feedback on my songs where they tell me it's too abstract or too avant-garde or whatever, and I don't agree with that, but
yeah.
Oh, it could always be weirder.
It can always be weirder. Yeah, I think it's interesting too, like even when they started having a lot more members, like most of the members the band has ever had have been from Cleveland. There's been a few exceptions, but like a few English guys here and there, like Mayo Thompson, and then Keith Maloney, which was the one they got in 2005 when they moved to England, and Tom Herman left for their second time. But yeah, I like for the most part it's just a bunch of people facing the weird bleakness and urban decay of the Midwest and the Rust Belt falling apart, and just doing some really like stomping rock and roll, but with like abstract weirdness over the top of it or underneath it or alongside it. But yeah, it's a band worth checking out. They're incredibly influential. People who are fans of it tend to really be fans of it, like I am. But yeah, this is PERE UBU. They are one of my favorite bands, and honestly, at this point, since I've been immersed in them so much since David Thomas died, they might be my all-time favorite right now. So we'll see. We'll see how long they'll be that way. But they are an important band, and I wouldn't have started a band without them, so I wouldn't be the same person, as I've said before. So this is that.
This is that.
Pluggables, we're all in the same stuff, so
we're all in a
Pluggy.
band called the Alliterates,
Yeah.
and we have things and places.
We have a show coming up, but you aren't going to be able to be there because it's going to be in the past by the time this is released.
Yeah.
So fuck yeah.
So fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Check out our bootlegs on all the streaming services.
We'll have at some point we'll get around to finishing the full album, hopefully soon. But yeah, this has been...
When I'm 50.
Yeah. This has been side 1, side B. Catch you on the flip side.
Flippy floppy.
So, you guys want to hear about my colonoscopy?
Side 1, Side B with Dave and Steve is a Floof Goof Studios production. You can find us on Instagram at KillRockMusicSWS and Dave_Diction. You can find us on Bluesky at KillRock Music and Beastmaster General. Check out our musical projects, The Alliterates and Lucid Fugue, on all major streaming platforms, and links to each at my website, killrockmusic.com. That's KILRAVOCK music.com. This also includes my past projects, Megaton and Valley of Shadows, and my current solo project, Kill Rock. You can also find Dave's past project, Gong Farmer, at GONGFERMOUR.bandcamp.com. Thanks.
Everyone we worked with is dead.
Really rip.
I need to change my pants.
Check.
Check. Leonard Bernstein.
I hate it so much I skipped the whole destroyer.
Allow me to play you out.
Dirty Dave just pooped his pants.
Yes, indeed.
Perfect hooker murdering song.
Kick out the jam, motherfucker! Are you ready?
Oh, Steve's got some cheese. Get my podcast voice ready to go.
Jaw Wobble. What a name.
I'm Ivan Moody, and I'm having a psychotic break.
Testicules.
That is a fun fact.
There's a jazz hole.
What do you mean the song is called Sweet Pea?
Now that we're done with Steve's Rorschach test, let's talk about the album.
For fuck's sake.
That's not very Zizian of you guys. It's a professional operation over here.
This is Fantasia for people who had to repeat the 9th grade.
Heavy metal.
Yeah, hands off, Britain. We'll dump it in the sea again.
Shove it, shove it, shove it.
I love California.